You feel guilty, not for failing anyone, but for outgrowing them. Somewhere in your rise, you left a person behind who once believed in you before anyone else did, and it still sits in your chest like a stone. Maybe it was a mentor whose advice you stopped taking, a friend whose calls you stopped returning once your world got bigger than theirs. You told yourself it was necessary. You have never fully believed that excuse. By the end of this, you will understand why that guilt is not a flaw in your character, but the exact tax every ascending person eventually pays, and you will know how to carry it without it quietly rotting you from the inside. Because if you never name this cost, one of two things happens. You sabotage every rise you ever get, trying to keep everyone comfortable, or you succeed completely and spend the back half of your life haunted by a face you cannot stop seeing. There is a man who became the most famous human being alive, worshipped as a prophet of self-belief, who called this exact wound the deepest regret of his entire life. His name was Muhammad. And the person he left behind, in the middle of his own ascent to greatness, was not a rival. He was the man who taught him how to think. His name was Malcolm X. Miami, February 1964. A hotel room, cigar smoke curling toward a low ceiling. A young fighter named Cassius Clay paces in silence, guilty already, though the fight of his life is still hours away. Malcolm X sits across from him, calm, unbothered, sipping orange juice while the rest of the world bets against the boy in the room. He is not here as a spectator. He is here as an architect. For over a year, Malcolm has been Clay's teacher, his older brother, the man who explained to a scared kid from Louisville why his fear had a name and his anger had a purpose. Tonight, the world thinks it is watching a boxing match. It is actually watching the last night this friendship survives without a price attached, though neither man in that room yet knows it. Clay wins that night, stunning the world, and stands over sunny Liston screaming that he shook up the world. Reporters swarm him, cameras flash, and the man he looks for, first, before anyone else, is Malcolm. 2 days later, he tells the press he has joined the Nation of Islam. Weeks after that, Elijah Muhammad gives him a new name. Cassius Clay becomes Muhammad Ali. Malcolm X stands beside him for both moments. 2 days later, he tells the press he has joined the Nation of Islam. Weeks after that, Elijah Muhammad gives him a new name. Cassius Clay becomes Muhammad Ali. Malcolm X stands beside him for both moments. 2 days later, he tells the press he has joined the Nation of Islam. Weeks after that, Elijah Muhammad gives him a new name. Cassius Clay becomes Muhammad Ali. Malcolm X stands beside him for both moments. This is the version of the story most people know. Loud, defiant, funny, unbeatable. The showman prophet who turned boxing into theater and theater into a pulpit. But that version conveniently ends before the debt comes due. Here is the binary question underneath every success story ever told, including yours. Does true greatness require unshakable loyalty to the people who built you, or does it require the will to leave them the moment they become smaller than your destiny? Voice 1 says loyalty is the whole foundation. Nothing built on abandoning your own people can be called greatness at all. It is simply ambition wearing greatness as a costume, and Malcolm X spent his final year proving that argument with his own body. Ali has just been crowned. Elijah Muhammad gave him a new name, a new family, a new sense of untouchable identity in a country that still refused to say his old name with respect. He is not ready to lose that gift. So Ali chooses the organization over the individual who built him. He publicly sides with Elijah Muhammad. He tells reporters Malcolm was his friend, but that friend was wrong to turn against the nation. This choice has a name. Call it the circle break. The circle break is the precise moment loyalty to an institution overrides loyalty to the individual person who actually shaped you. Because the institution offers something the individual cannot: safety, scale, and a story bigger than one friendship. Right here is where most channels ask for a subscribe and move on. This one will not, because the circle break you just watched Ali make is one you will face too. Subscribe now, then stay. The harder half starts next. You have felt the circle break too. The company over the colleague who trained you. The algorithm over the small creator who taught you the craft. The platform's rules over the community that actually raised you. Same trade, smaller stakes, identical shame. Voice 2 argues the opposite. Loyalty is not the foundation of greatness at all. It is frequently the cage that keeps people small. And greatness demands the courage to outgrow anyone, even the person who made you. 3 years after the split from Malcolm in 1967, Ali refuses induction into the army over Vietnam and stands utterly alone. He loses his title, his license, and millions in his prime, telling reporters he would rather go to jail than kill people who never called him a name. So which voice wins the debate? The loyalist who says abandoning Malcolm proves ambition corrupted him, or the individualist who says his Vietnam stand proves true? Greatness always demands standing utterly alone? Neither voice on its own survives contact with what happened next. February 21st, 1965, the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem. Malcolm X steps to a podium to address his followers. Before he finishes his opening words, gunmen rush the stage. He is shot at close range in front of his wife and daughters. Ali is not there. He is training, building the next chapter of a legend that Malcolm helped design. When the news reaches him, something in him goes quiet in a way that no opponent, no reporter, no government had ever managed to force. For years afterward, Ali says almost nothing publicly about Malcolm's death, and that silence itself becomes the evidence. Call it the ghost debt, the balance that stays owed once the person you owe it to can no longer collect it. You already carry a ghost debt of your own, someone who shaped you, now gone distant or simply unreachable, and the apology you keep rehearsing has nowhere left to be delivered. That ache is not weakness, it is proof you loved correctly. Loyalty and ambition were never actually opposites fighting for Ali's soul. They were two currencies drawn from the same limited account. Call it the two currencies rule, because you are already spending from that same account, whether or not you have ever named it. That reckoning would not arrive for decades. Ali carried the account silently through his prime, his exile, and his comeback, saying almost nothing about Malcolm at all, as if silence itself could keep the debt from ever coming due. Decades pass. Ali becomes the most beloved athlete on earth. His fists slowed by Parkinson's, his voice reduced to a whisper. The world strains to hear. And in that silence, something unexpected finally surfaces. In interviews late in his life, Ali begins to speak of Malcolm again, carefully, painfully, admitting that turning his back on him remains the single greatest regret he carries, heavier than any punch he ever took in the ring. He tells those close to him that he wishes he had reached out, wishes he had defended his friend publicly, instead of choosing the institution's version of loyalty. The showman, who never once looked unsure in public, finally admits he was unsure the entire time. This is the detail almost nobody puts in the highlight reel. The greatest of all time spent his final years not replaying his fights, but replaying a single silence he let stretch on for months, then years, then permanently. Here is the psychological friction underneath the entire story. Becoming a global icon required Ali to participate actively in the cold isolation of the one man who taught him how to become one in the first place. The psychological friction is what happens when the very qualities that make you exceptional, conviction, focus, unwavering belief, are the same qualities that make you capable of quietly abandoning someone the moment they threaten your momentum. Notice this is not a story about a bad man. Ali was, by nearly every account, extraordinarily loyal, generous, and principled, which means the psychological friction does not require you to be cruel. It only requires you to be ambitious and afraid at the same time. That combination, ambition and fear, is not rare. It is sitting in your chest right now, disguised as a reasonable decision you are about to make about someone who no longer fits where you are going. Before we hand you the framework, stop watching Ali's life for a moment and look at your own. This is not a recap. This is an audit, and there is nowhere comfortable to look away to. Who is the Malcolm in your own story right now? The person who taught you something essential before your audience, your title, or your success ever existed? And when did you last actually speak to them? Have you already performed your own quiet version of the circle break, choosing an institution, a platform, or a crowd's approval over the one person who never needed your success to keep believing in you? What ghost debt are you currently pretending you do not owe, telling yourself it is too late, too awkward, or too small to matter, when you already know exactly whose name belongs in that sentence? And if the two currencies rule is true, what exactly have you been quietly withdrawing from that account this year? And did you ever actually choose to spend it? Or did you simply let it drain without noticing? Sit with that last question longer than feels comfortable, The people who finally change something never do it in the loud moments. They do it in exactly this kind of silence. Here is what Ali's entire arc, from Miami to his final quiet confession, actually hands you. Not a moral, a working tool you can use the next time this exact fork appears in your own life. First, when ambition and loyalty collide, name the trade out loud before you make it, even just to yourself, because unspoken trades are the ones that curdle into decades of silent regret. Second, if you cannot yet defend your choice honestly to the person you are choosing away from, you are not ready to make it. You are simply avoiding the conversation you owe them. Third, pay the ghost debt while collection is still possible. A call, a message, an honest sentence today costs almost nothing compared to what Ali carried silently for the rest of his extraordinary life. Before the final word here, there is one last challenge waiting for you, and it is not trivia. It is a mirror. In the description below sits a short quiz built entirely around how Ali handled this exact fracture between loyalty and destiny. Pause the timeline right now, open that description, and lock in your honest answer before you let the ending resolve it for you. Because the version of you that guesses will learn less than the version of you that actually decides. Muhammad Ali proved you can be adored by the entire planet and still lose sleep over one silence you let last too long. That is not a contradiction in his legend. That is the actual price tag on the legend itself. True greatness will not ask your permission before it costs you something irreplaceable. It will simply present the bill later, quietly, in a hospital room or a quiet interview, long after the applause has ended. So pay your debts on time, name your trades before you make them, and subscribe to this channel the same way Ali eventually found his own courage. Late, honestly, but before it was too late to matter.